What do you want from your partner? Bliss? No. No, you don't.
한 남성이 있었습니다. 모두가 부러워할 만한 여성과 커플이 됐는데요. 누가 봐도 선남선녀 각이 나오는 한 쌍이었습니다. 하지만 얼마 못 가 모두의 이상형이었던 그 여성과 헤어졌습니다. 남성이 여성에게 큰 잘못을 한 건 아니었는데요. 공주님 모시듯 이동할 때마다 라이드를 해줬고 데이트 비용부터 웬만한 비용은 모두 부담했습니다. 그렇다고 남성의 외모가 부족한 것도 집안이 안 좋은 것도 아니었습니다. 원인은 다름 아닌 너무 조심해서였습니다.
Why? No challenge. The person that you can completely map and who only does positive things for you, it's like A, you don't know that person. B, they're not communicating with you, nor you with them. Maybe they're just subordinating themselves to you or you to them.
피터슨 교수가 말하는 오래가는 남녀의 레시피입니다.
A real relationship is a wrestling match. It's a grappling phenomena. And that's what people want. They don't want a pushover. Not unless there's something wrong with a narcissistic person who never wants to be challenged, will want a partner who does nothing but deliver exactly what they're told to deliver, but they will mistreat them. What does the optimal relationship look like in terms of positive and negative emotion? You might say, well, utopia, nothing but positive interactions. It's like, no.
그럼 어떤 여성을 만나야 되죠? 어떤 여성상이 되어야 하나요? 피터슨 교수는 두 가지 여성상에 대해 이야기합니다.
Well, that's a representation of Diana. There's an opposite, Durga, in Hinduism, and she comes forth if you make the proper sacrifices to Kali. But I wanted to show you alternative representations from different cultures of these archetypal forms. This is Diana, multi-breasted, right? She's the thing that nourishes the world, and so that would be, on one hand, your mother, who obviously protects you from the terrible aspects of fire and danger. And you might say, if you acted heroically, properly, and you played the metagame and not the game, and you made the proper sacrifices, then you'd never encounter Kelly, you'd only encounter her benevolent counterpart. And so then you might say, well, does she even exist then? And that's something that's very interesting, is because the degree to which the terrible part of the world manifests itself in your life is proportionate to how insufficient you are. If you got your act together completely, maybe all the suffering would disappear from your life, or at least maybe all the unbearable suffering from the lives of people around you too. And you wonder what the world would be like if you were like that and everyone else was like that too. We'd have a lot fewer crises. And so when people say, well, why is the world so rife with suffering? One answer to that is because we're not yet what we could be. Okay, so here's the data. If it falls under 5 positive interactions to 1 negative interaction, the relationship doesn't continue. Fair enough, too much negative. That's easy to understand. If it exceeds 11 positive to 1 negative, the relationship doesn't last. Why? No challenge.
부정적 여성상에만 집중해서 이야기하는 사람들은 이성관계에 대해 다음과 같이 말한다고 합니다.
There's a whole group online called Men Going Their Own Way, MGTOW. That's a very interesting group to go study. There's lots of them. I don't know how many of them there are, and most of them are older. Many of them are men who've been through a particularly horrifying divorce for one reason or another. They've had enough of women, so they tell the young men that they're teaching, never have a permanent relationship. Never share your territory with a woman. Never share your possessions. Make sure you never live together, and don't stay with one long enough to enter a common law relationship because you will be stripped of everything that you have. Well, that's a hell of a thing to be telling people. But what's happened is that the female has been manifested in their life only as the negative archetype, and they've got that confused with all women. You know, you got to ask yourself, if you know the mythological stories, maybe if you made the right sacrifices, you wouldn't have so much trouble with women. I can make dinner. I can take care of my family. I can undertake this job at work. That makes me a decent father. That's part of being a good person. The question is, what's at the pinnacle of that? At the upper end of the abstraction hierarchy, because these things should be organized all the way up into a complete hierarchy. What does it mean to be a good person? You win the set of games. You go out into the world and explore, and you bring back what you've found, and you build yourself out of it, and you share it with other people. That's no different than the story of the collective hunt. It's exactly the same thing. You build yourself into someone that can have a long-term relationship with someone of the opposite sex, so that you can bring children into the world and turn them into exploratory heroes and stabilize the state. In you. It's in you. It's locked into your biology, and it's locked into your sociology. So it was a map I tried to make in some sense of my own identity. I mean, just using myself as an example of someone typically situated in society. So you want all those things stacked up. So they're all operating properly at the same time. If you get all those things together, your physiology will be organized and oriented properly too. And that means your organs work properly and the micro elements of them work properly and all the way down. And then if everything is organized like that too, the society starts to work. And everything starts to organize itself along a horizontal axis where each level of the structure supports every other level. And you can feel that, I believe. That's what you feel when you're engaged in doing something meaningful. You can feel those things coming together. And you can also feel like that as a kind of strength that pushes you forward instead of pulling you backwards. Our nervous systems are very sophisticated. And they orient us in time and space. And they can tell us when they're in the right place at the right time.